What's up, everybody? GenExDividendInvestor here. I hope everyone is getting their holiday spirit in the party mood. In this video, I'm going to tell you about a trend that is picking up steam, which is incorporating environmental, social, and governance issues, aka ESG, when you're evaluating potential stocks and investing strategies for your portfolio. I'll also share what some popular ESG investments are, and then I'll end this video with an inspiring story. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't, and click that bell notification. Finally, I'm not a financial advisor, so take my responses as entertainment only, not as a way to make financial decisions. So why would you want to factor ESG into your investing strategies? I read research that is increasingly showing that ESG investing can reduce portfolio risk, generate competitive investment returns, and help investors feel good about the stocks they own. Or to say that differently, some investors are not only interested in the financial outcomes of their investments, but they're also interested to understand the impact their investments are having on the world and its people, and the role their assets can have in promoting and helping global issues like climate change. For example, the Cohen Millennial Cause Study found that millennials are more likely to trust a company or purchase a company's products when the company has a reputation of being socially or environmentally responsible. Half of those millennials surveyed are more likely to turn down a product or service from a company perceived to be socially or environmentally irresponsible. So if you want to make money on a demographic that all marketers want, then you have to recognize the tangible importance of ESG. Okay, so the E in ESG is for environmental, which is about understanding a company's impact on the earth in a positive or negative way, where ESG-minded investors tend to think that if a company is actively being a positive force for the world, then they might deserve your dollars. The thought process is that environmental risks created by business activities have actual or potential negative impact on air, land, water, ecosystems, and human health. So the types of things you might research include a company's climate policies and plans, maybe how much emissions they have or plan to have, what their carbon footprint is, what sort of water usage and disposal strategies they have, their renewable energy usage trends and strategies, and what sort of environmental benefits they might have for employees, such as incentives to recycle or whatever. S is for social and is about things like company culture and risks that can impact employees, customers, suppliers, and more. So understanding how a company treats their employees with pay and benefits, what sorts of training they allow, their diversity and inclusion practices, how friendly their customer service is, stuff like that. Now, oftentimes companies will publish reports that align to sustainability standards. You can peruse articles like Fortune's Best Companies to Work For, and then you can even go deeper, that's what she said, by looking at Glassdoor.com to really see what bottom-up perspectives are in a company. In case you didn't notice, I love That's What She Said jokes. Now, I personally would never join a public company if their Glassdoor rating sucked, and it's part of my process that even before I apply to a company, I look at their Glassdoor ratings. Now, those ratings can have their problems, such as little dogs make most noise, but if you learn how to interpret the data, it can be invaluable. And then finally, G stands for corporate governance, and is looking for risks about how companies are run. So do they pay too much to their execs? Do they protect their shareholder rights? How do corporate incentives align to business success? Do they have a clean history with the SEC, etc.? So let's take a look at an example. I went to Google and typed in J&J ESG reporting and found links on their main website to a huge ESG section that includes their sustainability approach, a webcast they did, a message from their CEO, and their 2020 goals. Their goals document breaks down their areas of focus into people, places, and practices. So for example, for people they have a goal to deliver innovative healthcare access and training programs that impact 1 billion lives in underserved areas, and then they have target metrics they're measuring themselves against, like produce and donate 1 billion doses of Vermox to treat greater than 100 million children per year at risk for intestinal worms, or to deliver HIV/AIDS therapy access to a cumulative 130,000 adults and 5,000 children. Companies like J&J are taking ESG very seriously, and they report out their metrics to their board and to investors, and is yet another reason why J&J is one of my favorite dividend stocks to invest in. J&J also publishes their perspectives on a slew of topics, from animal welfare to biodiversity to universal health coverage. Okay, let's elaborate on the various investment strategies related to ESG. First, there's one called SRI, or Socially Responsible Investing. So let's say if you're searching for a stock, you might use certain filters to exclude sin stocks, like maybe you don't want to see tobacco, alcohol, weapon stocks, or companies like that. Another investment strategy is shareholder activism, where someone wants to influence what the company does. This could include activities like pushing new shareholder proposals, speaking at annual meetings, and maybe buying a ton of shares to influence corporate actions that enable faster profits. Of course, shareholder activism isn't always deemed as socially responsible. Another strategy is called impact investing, which is when you invest based on where you think you'll have a more positive environmental and social impacts, though you might not care about profits as much or at all. Or to say that differently, your main investing goal isn't about maximizing financial returns, it's instead about maximizing environmental or social goals. Finally, you have conscious capitalism, which is when businesses seek to get profits for their shareholders, but also try to benefit the environment, their communities, etc. So conscious capitalism also broadens the definition of who a stakeholder is to include potentially everyone, regardless if they invest in them. Given these bottom line realities of ESG issues, management and companies are now keenly aware and strive to leverage ESG factors to their benefit. This isn't about being politically correct, it's about real dollars. Okay, it might be a bit about being PC, but I think you'd be making a mistake to not acknowledge that it can also be a financial needle mover. For example, the former CEO of Pepsi, Indra Nooyi, realized that the world was shifting to eating healthier, so she influenced Pepsi to research and develop healthier snacks in addition to their current products. Win-win. Now there are websites out there like MSCI.com, which I'll include a link to in the description below, which allows you to put in a ticker and then it will share their ESG ratings. So for example, Microsoft gets an excellent AAA rating, whereas Exxon Mobil gets a BBB rating. Another way you can quickly identify ESG companies is with rankings such as the ones on investors.com. On that site you can explore the top ranked ESG companies by sector, or you can just see the top 10 ones, which currently are NVidia, Pool, Salesforce.com, West Pharma Services, Vertex Pharma, Adobe, Cadence Design Systems, iRobot, Comfort Systems USA, and Lam Research, multiple those of which have dividends. Investors Business Daily also has a list of the best ESG companies by industry. Their report shows some strong dividend companies you'll recognize like Applied Materials, T. Rowe Price, Prologis, and C.H. Robinson. Now instead of individual companies, you could also invest in ESG funds. For example, VRTX's Vanguard Social Index Fund, and then there's also VEIGX, the Global ESG Select Stock Fund. You also have ESGV, which is a US stock ESG fund. Another to evaluate is VSGX, which is an international ETF focused on ESG. So now you should clearly understand what ESG is, why it may be useful to factor into your investing criteria, how you can research ESG ratings, and what some examples of individual stocks and funds are that you might want to dig into. Now I'm going to switch gears and tell you a valuable life story I found online that's worth hearing and reflecting on. Imagine that you had a magical bank account that had $86,400 deposited into it each morning. Your account carries over no balance from day to day, allows you to keep no cash balance, and every evening cancels whatever part of the amount you had failed to use during the day. So basically you need to use all that free cash each day or lose it. So what would you do if you had such an account? You obviously would need to draw out every dollar each day and use it wisely. The crazy part is that we all have such a bank, which deposits something into your account more valuable than dollars. Its name is time. Every morning it credits you with 86,400 seconds. Every night it writes off, is lost, whatever time you have failed to use wisely. It carries over no balance from day to day. It allows no overdraft, so you can't borrow against yourself or use more time than you have. Each day the account starts fresh. Each night it destroys any unused time. If you fail to use the day's deposits, it's your loss and you can't appeal it to get it back. There is never any borrowing time. You can't take a loan out on your time or against someone else's. The time you have is the time you have, and that's that. Time management is yours to decide how you spend the time, just as with money you decide how you spend the money. It's never the case of us not having enough time to do things, but the case of whether we want to do them and where they fall on our priorities. I hope you sit back and reflect on that. I don't want you to get to a point where you are on your deathbed to finally realize that your health and your time are the most valuable assets you will ever own, and yet most people don't realize that until it's too late. Steve Jobs would probably have given his billions to swap places with you when he was on his deathbed with cancer. Think about that. And then use that realization of the preciousness of time to fight your feelings of laziness and then do what you know you should be doing, whether that's working out or starting an online business or whatever. And with that I leave you with this quote from Stephen Covey who said, "The key is in not spending time, but in investing it." Okay, moving on. Now I'd like to thank 3 Patreon aristocrats who just joined up. So thank you to Gorilla Flakes, and to iSmith, and to Nidlap. I really appreciate you guys supporting me. As an aristocrat, you gain access to my new Dividend Spreadsheet 2.0 product and to multiple private channels on my Discord where I'll tell you about my dividend stock buys and sells before I mention them in videos, as well as where I let people watch my videos before I release them to the public and let you vote on some thumbnails I use. Anyways, thank you to you, the viewer, for watching my video. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't, and click that bell notification. I highly recommend that you join my free Dividend Discord chat server, which has thousands of dividend investors on it and it's growing all the time. The link is in the description below if you'd like to join. Remember to click the heart emoji on screen to get authorized, or you can wait for me to manually authorize you, which I'll usually do within an hour. Remember, you never will be alone or bored if you join up. There are always people on and chatting. Also, since it's almost Christmas, then I'd love it if you'd consider clicking on my Amazon affiliate link in the description of this video and then go shopping online. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases, which means I get a small commission after you click on my link and then shop for whatever you need, and it doesn't even impact the prices you pay. Please leave me a comment if you do so I can personally thank you. Or sign up as a Patreon aristocrat, that would be even cooler. Finally, if you've been putting off investing, then I strongly urge you to start today. Now. Don't wait for a New Year's resolution, start now. The one caveat is that it's always good to have an emergency fund and no bad debt. Consider using my M1 brokerage referral link in the description of this video. M1 normally runs promotions where if you click a referral link and then open a new normal brokerage account and transfer some cash into it, then we can both get some free cash. By normal account, I mean a non-retirement account. Historically, I've seen $10 and $20 referrals, so I'm not even sure when you're watching this video exactly what M1 is potentially offering. But every penny counts. Even if you have a brokerage, don't miss out on a free $10 or $20 because you're too lazy to sign up. You want to be a millionaire? Then be one. Don't leave money on the floor. Thanks, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.